Oh, it's Petro predictions here.
League A playoffs, first semi-final, Poland versus Estonia. This is the most skewed qualification playoff in any confederation that I have ever seen. Estonia's form has been awful, but Poland's has too actually, so that's kind of interesting. I do see Poland winning the game pretty comfortably within 90 minutes. I don't see it being a big scoreline. I see it being about 2-0 because Poland has actually struggled for goals actually, but they will dominate the game. And what else will be interesting is who will be Poland's manager at this time? Maybe someone different. Maybe it is more attacking minded. Second semi-final, Wales versus Finland. I think this game will be close as both of the teams have been really inconsistent in form. But for me, a real major factor is Wales playing at home. They were very lucky because in the last World Cup qualifiers, they had both playoff legs at home, and it's happened again to their utter advantage. Yes, they lost 4-2 against Armenia, which was an utter shock, but otherwise, Wales's form at home is very good. And the fans, I've been in the stadium many times, the fans is just something else. So I think it will play to their advantage. Therefore, I see Wales winning this tie within 90 minutes. I see it being about 1-0, mainly because Wales do struggle for goals, so do Finland. That leaves us with a very interesting League A playoff final of Wales versus Poland. Both of these nations were in the last World Cup, so it will be very strange actually that one of the nations won't make it to a 24-team Euro tournament. But either way, whichever team loses, I think will be a massive hinder to their national development. Wales or Poland missing out, they will regard that as a massive failure not to qualify for a 24-team tournament. So there's actually a lot at stake, and I think both teams will play really cautiously. I think it's going to be a very cagey game, as if there's a lot to lose. It'll really feel like a genuine final. So it could be an interesting match actually too. But I see it being cagey. Again, it's hard to assess where Poland will be at this time because I do think they'll have a new manager and there'll be changes in that, so it's harder to assess for Wales how Poland are going to play. Lewandowski probably will be back in good form at that point in March, so this is a really difficult call, but I'm not going to go with bias. Again, it's the home advantage for me, and I think Wales will succeed and therefore qualify for the Euros ahead of Poland. It's going to be a very close game. I actually see it going to added extra time or even penalties at this rate. League B, first semi-final, Bosnia-Herzegovina against Ukraine. Bosnia's qualification campaign has been abysmal. They've only won 3 games. 2 of them were against Liechtenstein with not convincing wins, and the other one was their first home game, the first match day fixture against Iceland, so says a lot about them. Whereas Ukraine, on the other hand, actually have been in decent form actually. They've challenged their difficult qualifiers group, and hey, in that final match day fixture, if they were awarded that penalty fairly against Italy in the dying minutes, if they scored, they would have qualified automatically. But hey, that's for another time to discuss about. And if you look at the recent 2 teams' fixtures against each other in the last World Cup qualifiers, on aggregate, so to say, Ukraine did beat Bosnia in that. And in this playoff, it will be interesting because Bosnia might have a new manager. Difficult to assess how they will play in that. New momentum, new mentality, who knows. But I do see Ukraine winning this playoff within 90 minutes. I don't think they'll dominate, but I do see it being about 2-0 or a 2-1 scoreline. Ukraine does have the strongest squad and depth within these League B playoffs. Second semi-final, Israel versus Iceland. If you look at the results of recent against the 2 nations in the Nations League, they both drew to each other twice, 2-2 as well, so very close scorelines. And the reason this semi-final leg is going to be more interesting than people realise is because, in my opinion, both of these nations don't really have a clear style of play. They seem quite confused in their play. Yes, they can sit back in that, but when they go forward, there's actually confusion. So it'll be very interesting how Israel and Iceland actually approach this game. But I do see Israel qualifying ahead of Iceland. It could go to added extra time actually, but Israel does have more quality in their squad right now than Iceland. That leaves us with the League B playoff final of Ukraine versus Israel in a neutral venue, which will give more oomph to the final actually. And with both nations having difficult ongoing conflicts in their home nation, I feel like there will be a lot of passion in this game, a lot of drive, a lot of determination, and both nations really wanting to prove a point. And with that might come a bit of aggression and just heightened emotions. And as we know, too much heightened emotions, lack of control of the emotions, leads to errors. And I think this game could actually come down to the losing team making an error and the other team capitalizing on it and winning it. I do see Ukraine winning this fixture. Like I said before, they are the strongest team and have the most quality of players in these League B playoffs. I think they'll just be too much for Israel. I think it'll be very close still though. League C playoffs, first semi-final, Georgia versus Luxembourg. This is going to be a really tight, interesting game, and what's more interesting is that Georgia's biggest attacking threat, Kvaratskhelia, and Luxembourg's probably second biggest attacking threat in Sinani. Both of these players are suspended, so I see this semi-final being much more cagey, defensive, kind of tactical, not really risk-taking. It will be really close. It's a pretty tough call. I see it going to added extra time. I see Georgia winning. Could even go to penalties, but definitely Georgia winning, just because I feel like they do have better quality in all areas of the field. Like their defense is better than Luxembourg's. Second semi-finals, Greece versus Kazakhstan. Not gonna lie, Greece were in a much more difficult group than Kazakhstan for this qualifiers. They really pushed France and the Netherlands in some of the games, so they clearly have more preparation for this fixture. However though, Kazakhstan in many of their qualifiers games came from behind to win, so they know how to dig deep evidently. I'm going to go with Greece winning. It's a really tight, tough call, but I'm going to go with Greece winning. Could even be added extra time or penalties, but the reason I say that is because Greece does have better quality in their squad and more depth as well. Leaves us with a very interesting League C playoff final of Greece versus Georgia. Both of the teams last faced each other in the last World Cup qualification, with Greece just about edging Georgia on that so-called aggregate, but this Georgian side has improved a lot since Greece last faced them 2.5 years ago. Both of these teams, I would say, are the same quality on paper in all areas of the pitch. It'll be a very close and tight final. Something to bear in mind is that Greece has had success in playoffs. In 2 World Cup qualifiers, they've qualified through the playoffs successfully, whereas Georgia has missed out on the last Euros in the playoffs. So both nations will be wanting to really prove themselves. Really close, a tight game. But I see Georgia winning this playoff in added extra time. I literally think this game would come down to the difference of a match winner like Kvaratskhelia, who will be back from suspension. I could imagine him scoring, running past 2-3 defenders within the last 10-15 minutes and winning it for Georgia. And that way, it will be the first time Georgia qualifies for a major international footballing tournament and the first nation from the Caucasus region to do so, which would be great for the footballing world. I have my predictions for the Euro 2024 qualification playoffs. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.